So this is a little rough turn cherry burl hollow form that I made. It's got a 1 inch wall thickness and it's got a lot of inclusions and bark and stuff in it. So we're going to get this thing cleaned up, bake it in the oven for a little bit to get it dry, and then we're going to do a casting project with it. So all I'm looking to do with this, and I'm looking to get any loose bark and loose pieces of wood off of it, that'll increase the voids that the resin will be able to fill into. Alright, so that about does it for getting it cleaned up. There wasn't too much loose bark in it, so I'm down to all good solid wood now. So now it's just a matter of baking it for a little bit to make sure that the wood is bone dry, and then we'll get this thing into the casting pot. So this is what it looks like after it's been baked in the oven and all the loose bark pieces and stuff has been cleaned off of it. I didn't get back to this right away, so I put it in a plastic bag and sealed it up tight so the wood wouldn't absorb any moisture. And I'm going to be using Aluminolite Clear Slow for this. It doesn't like any moisture at all, so if there's any moisture in the wood, it will start to foam, even in a pressure pot. So you want to always make sure that you wrap it up tight in a plastic bag if you're not going to do the casting right away. So for this one, I'm going to reconstruct the rim with a plastic bag and, believe it or not, a paper towel cardboard tube. So the first thing I want to do is take a plastic bag, stuff it inside the best I can get it. Without tearing the bag. Alright, so that's opened up enough on the inside. So now I am just going to fill the thing with some sand. This sand's going to just push the plastic up against the inside of the hollow form to minimize the amount of resin that I'm going to need for this. Alright, so now I want to work the cardboard tube into it. Make sure I'm coming up somewhat straight out of the top of it. Okay, now I'm going to bust out my trusty duct tape. Get that on. This is going to pull the plastic tight and keep it from getting too tangled up in the resin. Alright, so there's the inside. Now, to minimize the resin loss, just a kitchen plastic bag. You can use any plastic bag. I don't know if I would use a plastic shopping bag, but something a little bit thicker than that. And I have a tenon on the bottom, so I want to preserve that tenon. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my trusty duct tape, find that tenon, and wrap it tight around there to try to minimize the resin seepage that goes down around that, so it's easier to clean up when I'm all done. I gotta find something that I can set this down so it's not wobbling all around. There we go, that works pretty good. Alright, so the next part is to mix up some resin. So you always want to wear your safety gloves. You don't want to get this stuff on your hands. It's not that good for your skin. And I have an exhaust fan running. You want to do this in a well ventilated area. You don't want to breathe the fumes from this resin, even if it doesn't smell really bad. You don't want to breathe that stuff in. Move this off to the side. Illuminate clear and clear slow are measured by weight, so it makes it a lot easier to get pretty precise measurements out of it. I'm using a small scale. Go to measure in grams because that's the finest measurement over ounces. I gotta take a guess at the volume that I'm using because I don't know exact, but what I like to do is I have a little silicone cookie mold that I use to pour all my extra resin in. That way I can use it because I do thread chasing too, and thread chasing, there's only so many woods that are strong enough to hold the thread, so you can make nice inserts out of those little round pieces that are left over from your resin. Okay, so I'm at 238.3 grams for the first one. Okay, close enough. Alright, so for this one I'm going to use some Eye Candy Azora Blue and a couple drops of Ocean Blue Transparent tint from Illuminate. These Illuminate dyes are extremely concentrated, so a little bit goes a long way. You can see how much 2 drops it darkened that volume of resin. For the mica powder, there's a couple grams left. That should be more than enough for make sure that you let the mixer scrape all the sides and the bottom as best you can into the corners. I am not too concerned about air bubbles because we're going to be throwing this into a pressure pot, so that will get rid of them all. And I didn't mix it all that heavy, fast speed, so there shouldn't be too many air bubbles in there. So now comes the fun part. We're going to start taping this thing up with my trusty duct tape again. So with this aluminum, you don't want to dilly-dally too much because it doesn't have a super long work time like some of the epoxy resins do. So I'm just going to tape it right down to that cap, and it'll make it a lot easier for me to manage it. Alright, so now that I got that set, all I gotta do is start adding in some resin and then tape the bag up as I go. I can already tell I'm probably going to have a ton of resin left over. I mixed way too much for this. But we won't let it go to waste. Let it go, let it seep down a little bit. So now I'm up to the neck. So now I got it up to here, I've got to make a rim. So there's a Dixie cup. Keep it somewhat snug around it. Make sure it's somewhat centered. Alright, so now it's centered. We're going to pour some and just fill up till you get close to the top of the cardboard tube. I made this neck higher than it needed to be. That way if a little bit of the resin still seeps down in, it won't be an issue. These are the little cookie molds. They're like 2 by 1.5 inches. A little bit of mold release. Alright, so now all I have to do is load this thing into the pressure pot. Which, having a somewhat flat bottom is really nice. Get my 3 little holes up. I can already tell this is so much easier to seal with them. All the freaking elbows. Alright. It's all closed up. And we'll see how well this thing holds air pressure overnight. So everything's been in the pressure pot for 24 hours by now. So it's time to get it all out of here. Let's open this lid up. First things first, hollow form. No signs of leaks, so that's a good thing. And then got my 3 little pucks for future projects. Alright, so the first thing is the little pucks. It's easy to just pop those out. I'll put a link down in the description below on where I got these, but I got them off of Amazon, so they're really easy to get and they're really fast to get. Put those aside for future projects. Now it's time to unwrap this guy and see what we got. Got a few spots where the plastic folded over a little bit in the excess resin, but that's not a big deal because it's all going to get turned down. Okay, let's get something to dump that sand out of it into. Well, good news is all the sand came out. There's a little bit of the plastic from that bag got stuck to the inside edges of it. And that's like an almost perfect tenon. I didn't get any resin at all down into it. Alright, doesn't look pretty right now, but once I get it on the lathe, it'll clean right up. This is an easy way to reduce the amount of resin that's needed for making a hybrid turning. I put links down in the descriptions to all the materials that I used today, along with a coupon code. Check out this video next to see how the project turned out.